We're ready for our next topic, interview scheduling. So Cliff, do you call or email a candidate to make initial contact?
Most of the time I'm emailing people. I want them to be in a position where they're prepared to take my call.
That makes sense. How long do you wait for a response from that candidate?
Usually that's going to be as long as the position's open. I'll send out an email to somebody and wait for them to reply. I usually don't chase people down too much. So if they're not getting back to me right away, they may not be considered for the role.
Okay. But if the position's still open and they get back to you in 3 weeks, then you're going to continue to talk to them?
Sure. If the position's still open and we're still looking for qualified candidates, absolutely.
Do you ask a candidate for their availability when you're trying to schedule an interview, or do you just propose an interview time?
Most of the time I'm asking for their availability. So I'll ask and send that initial email saying, give me a good time and number that I can reach you at.
Okay. Now, is your company or you willing to schedule an interview after hours?
Not often. And there's actually a funny story behind that. And at one of the companies I was working at, I took a phone call at 7 or 8 o'clock at night and was talking about the great work-life balance that we had, only to have that person say, well, why are you talking to me at 8 o'clock at night?
Right.
And I didn't have a response to that. And ever since then, I've tried to maintain, and in the companies that I've been at, I've supported the work-life balance. So and I'm only asking for 20 or 30 minutes out of someone's day. And if they can step away for a quick break, or I'll talk to people on their lunch breaks and be as flexible within that professional work hour or work hours, and people find a way.
Okay. Well, what about the on-site interview then? What's the flexibility you and your company have to schedule on-site interviews?
A lot of times it's the mercy of the managers and the interview teams. And there are times when I don't have a lot of flexibility, depending on who I'm pulling into the interview. And I've seen some interviews where we're pulling in as many as 8 people. So to have that many people, I may have a narrow window, and I'm going to ask the candidate for a lot of flexibility.
Good. And what if that candidate doesn't make themselves available to interview when you need to see them? What do you do then?
And sometimes they don't get considered. I mean, it has to be a balance, depending on their experience and what they're maybe bringing. We can make certain accommodations, but at the same time, I mean, we need some sort of commitment from that person that they're going to make some time to come in.
Right, that makes sense. What do you do if a candidate wants to reschedule an interview?
We'll accommodate that. I mean, I can think a number of times when, just like things will come up for us in our workday and meetings that come up out of the blue. I've seen that happen with candidates, and I've seen where things in their personal life maybe postpone the interview, and we're going to accommodate it as best we can. We're dealing with people.
Okay. Well, does that put a check mark, a negative check mark on a candidate if they've called to reschedule the day before the interview?
No, not at all. Now, if they've done that 3, 4, 5 times, then we're going to start wondering what their commitment level is. But again, life happens, and we get that.
All right. You guys at the corporate level are much more kind and understanding than we are at third party.
Probably. I think if I think back to some of my early on days, I think we probably are a little bit more accommodating.
You got anything else for me on this topic?
When it comes to interviewing, I think it's a balancing act, and I just want to point that out, that we're looking for someone to make some accommodations in their schedule to be able to come and interview and meet with us, and I can assure people we're doing the same on our side, trying to move meetings and trying to make things happen to have them come in. So